Good morning, everybody. The story I'm going to be reading today is going to be coming out in a month in an anthology called Why New Yorkers Smoke. It's an anthology that will be published on 9/11. It contains stories by Barry Malzberg and Paul DiFilippo, Carol M. Schuller, and me, and it's all about why New Yorkers smoke and the stress of living in New York and some 9/11 things in there dealing with that as well. The title of the story is In a Strange City Lying Alone. The longer I can remain quiet, the longer I can remain still, the longer it will take for them to find me, and the happier they will be. Well, happier probably isn't the best word. Are any of us ever going to be happy again? Maybe not. But when they find me, they'll feel relief at least, won't they? That's still possible, isn't it? I have to believe relief, that sigh of the soul for those working at this nightmarish job, those trapped in this terrifying time, those who volunteered to be in this sad, sad place, can be as welcome as joy. Relief can be hope. These men and women, their spirits shattered, their city ashes and ruins, used to the more human-sized battles of putting out fires or prying accident victims from crushed cars or struggling to beat back the despair brought on by this unimaginable catastrophe. They need some glimmer of hope in order to go on. I know I certainly do. If I can help them grab hold of it, maybe I'll find there's a little bit of that hope left over for me too. And so I don't move, and I wait. But you know something? As I wait, I don't hear them getting any closer. Yet I can hear something. Muffled voices I can't quite make out, but it's not them. This not moving, it turns out to be easier than I thought it would be. I honestly don't think I could move much anyway, even if I wanted to. I can't seem to feel my legs anymore. Not that I'm complaining, that's how I wanted it. That's the way it needed to be. Unless I'm trapped, really, truly trapped, unless they can feel they've rescued me, well, where's the hope in that? Besides, here in the darkness, I feel close to my parents in a way I haven't for years. From time to time, I shut my eyes and try to imagine them both, though do I really need to shut my eyes? The darkness down here is so complete, there's a little difference between eyes open and eyes closed. Mom and Dad were planted down in darkness too, not so long ago, and not so very far from me. Only it wasn't by choice. Once they were hundreds of feet above me, side by side in that tiny office of theirs, buying and selling and seemingly never the same thing twice, measuring out their days in margins so thin they had little left over for themselves in either time or money. How they didn't go crazy, I'll never know. They worked together that way for years, held aloft by concrete and steel and the dream of a city they thought would keep thrusting up forever and would never be knocked down. I squint, trying to see them as they were, high above my head, but it's dizzying to try. They're past as distant as birds in the sky. But unlike birds, they fell. They fell when the city fell, a city I'd left behind. I'd loved it once, this city. I love them too. When did it change? When did their embrace become less comfortable and claustrophobic? I can't remember. All I know is that as if a switch had been flicked, the city had suddenly become more prison than playground, and I felt as if I was both jailer and jailed. I no longer knew who I was any longer apart from them or it. So I ran. I got out while I could before I became like my parents. But even after I was gone, I could still hear their voices in my head and hear the sounds of taxis late at night on rain-swept streets as well. You live with a person so long, you live with a thing, and it gets inside you. It's as if I'd taken a piece of them with me. Although they kept haunting me in that way, although the city's tug was inescapable, I thought I'd never return. But then someone attacked them, attacked it, and I had to come back. At first, I spent my days climbing through the rubble, as we all did, part of an endless human chain, clearing away the debris, and spent my nights collapsed on cots at the nearby hospital. I thought I could find my parents, I really did, but I soon realized, as so many of us were forced to do, that for the most part, that belief was a delusion. I worked as many hours a day as they permit and my body would allow. I got a little loopy from exhaustion, I think. From time to time, I thought I could hear them, Dad worrying about me, insisting in that endless, annoying loop of his that everything would go wrong, Mom assuring me all would be right. Even though I felt their presence beneath my feet, we never found them. According to the news, from dust they came, and to dust they returned. Those few we did find were beyond talking, either dead or so battered in brain and body they were barely alive, but I never stopped looking. I wasn't the only one. I was surrounded by seekers. I felt for them with their crumpled and tear-streaked faces, but strangely, the ones I felt for the most were the rescue dogs. They were the only ones of us who didn't choose to be here. They didn't feel called. They were brought here. The trainers felt the same way about them that I did. They knew that their animals couldn't handle the endless disappointment and despair, so you know what they did to lift the spirits of those poor things? They had us hide so we could pretend to be found. And the dogs would be so happy, their eyes would be bright again, they'd lick our faces, and I thought, if I could bring that joy to a dog, even in the midst of this hell, then why not a person? Wait, what was that? Did you hear it? Have my rescuers figured out what I've done? Are they any closer to finding me? I don't think so, but there are those voices. I can hear them now. This time I really think I can. Dad calling from far off, asking me how I could have been so thoughtless as to do what I did, and my mother shushing him and telling me not to worry. I smile at their familiar banter. How could I have felt that oppressive? How could I have run from them? I'd give anything to see their faces again. No, it's not them. What am I thinking? I've just been down here alone for too long, but it's not my rescuers either. What's keeping them? I want to see their faces when they set me free. I need to see their faces. That's why it had to seem real, you see. That's why it had to be real. People, especially not trained emergency workers, can't be tricked the same way the dogs can. And so, as it grew dark, I slipped away. It wasn't that hard. The acres seemed endless here, and even with all those wanting to help, there aren't enough people to be everywhere at once. I wriggled down to the rubble, crawling as if through a maze, hearing the concrete and steel shift around me. I never expected the girder to slide and pin me where I lay, but they had to have heard it as it happened, right? I was actually a little pleased and proud, because surely that would make them believe. And so I waited, and I wait still. Oh, I can imagine their faces when they find me, when they lift that final piece of debris and discover both me and the strength to go on. We could all use the strength to go on. I don't know that I have the strength to go on. What's that? I do? Who said that? I thought I heard somebody say that, but no one's there. Am I making sense? I don't think so. I think I've become delirious. I let myself get too hungry and thirsty, and I no longer know how many days I've been down here. Yes, Father, I know I'm impulsive, and I keep doing these sorts of things over and over, jumping in before I check how deep the water is. And no, Mother, I won't cry. I know you'll make sure I'm safe. You always do. No, you always did. I should have planned better for this. I didn't really have a plan, not before when I left this city, and not now that I've returned. I feel in my heart a person should choose a place, shouldn't they, and not be chosen by it? If you end up where you started, but you never moved from the spot where you were born, that's not choice, that's inertia. That's why I really went away, I guess, but now I'm back, and I didn't come back, I was called back. So after all those years, all that running, it's still not of my choosing either. I still don't know. Isn't that silly? I feel hands on me, and when I open my eyes, even though I'm still covered by the rubble I pulled down upon myself, I can make out the forms of my rescuers. After all this time, my eyes have gotten used to the darkness, I guess, and I can see their outlines better. It's a man and a woman, and they lift me up to the surface as if no concrete and steel bar the way. It is only when the sun hits me and I try to make out the change I've made upon their faces, which is what all this was for, that I see my two rescuers were my mother and my father. I tilt my head. No one else seems to be paying any attention to us as they go about their business, seeking signs of life. And I so much wanted to see the relief on their faces. I want to shout, "Over here, I'm over here." But when I look back to my parents, there's relief on their faces, and I imagine there's relief on mine. My mother takes my right hand, my father takes my left, and they lift me to my feet. I no longer feel dizzy. I no longer feel thirsty. I no longer feel as if I need to look any further for the place I'm meant to be. No one disturbs us as we leave this place of pain and sorrow, leave to return back to my city forever. Thank you. And that will be again in a book called Why New Yorkers Smoke, published by Nonstop Press, edited by Luis Ortiz, published on 9/11. Thank you.